fashion, lifestyle, beauty, social media, careers. If it's written about in the pages of Cosmo and happening in your life, we're talking about it. We're going inside Cosmo.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside Cosmo on Cosmo Radio, Sirius XM 108. I love this song. And it's Jesse McCartney. It's Friday. What do you want from me? It's Fashion Friday, and I like to talk a lot about lifestyle on Fridays here on Inside Cosmo, Sirius XM 108. And ladies, I think you're going to want to call this guy 888-801-COSMO. That's 888-812-6766. I have Rick Cowley on the line. He's calling from Australia, which is pretty badass if you ask me. Hey Rick, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Steph?
Thanks for. It's very early in Australia right now. It's like 1:24 right now, essentially, something like that.
Yeah. Luckily, I kind of went to bed early. Put my kids to bed early. We're camping on an island in Australia, and I set about 4 alarms and had a friend call me to make sure I was up in time. So I'm standing up and I'm walking around, but I'm not sure how awake I am. So this is interesting.
Well, you sound very awake to me, and I think we're gonna have a fun time here. I'm really into lifestyle, and I've been a big fan of this blog. You have to check it out. It's called thedailylove.com. Mastin Kipp is the founder and creator of it. And I was reading one of the blogs recently, and it was talking about, the goals that you set in your life. And Rick was mentioned in it. He's the creator of Surf Life Yoga and Surf Retreats. And there's this thing that he has called a Fyckit List. And I was reading it and I'm like, wow, this guy's he just big potty mouth here. And it's not exactly what you think. We can say it's satellite radio.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about Fyckit List, because it rhymes with bucket list, and I think there's so many of us who have. I mean, at least for me, I've had made plenty of bucket lists in my life. I've seen the movie. It's something that we do, things that we look forward to doing in our lives.
Yeah. So the Fyckit List is like a bucket list, but we kind of draw it closer to us in time by looking at, within the next 5 years, what are the things that you want to be and do and have. And the main purpose of it is a way to orient your life around what inspires you and to clarify what really inspires you and what would make you excited when you wake up in the morning, and what are the the big things that you've always dreamed about that you might have just put them on the back burner or thought, I'll get to it someday, or maybe I will never get to it. It kind of clarifies it, and you put it down on a piece of paper. And, the act of putting it down on a piece of paper and clarifying it has some magic.
Right. And what, so how is it, I mean, it's different than a bucket list because we're not really focusing on I need to do this before I die. These are things that you want to put on your list for the next, so when I was reading it, because I made my own Fyckit List, and since I'm 25, it suggests that I do something that ends in either a 5 or a 0, like in the next five years. So for me, 5 years would be by the time I'm 30.
Right. And I've even kind of specified it a bit more. So you're looking at things within the next 5 years, and you're going to put an age beside the item. So say it's, learn to play and perform 10 songs on guitar. And so you might put in 2 years' time, that's how long you want to take to do that one. Whereas something a bit bigger, maybe start your own company or something, you might give yourself 3 or 4 or 5 years. So you can also look at kind of prioritize what you want to do first, and then give yourself a little more time for the bigger goals. But when you look at 5 years, if you really were focused and inspired, what couldn't you accomplish or become in 5 years? It's a lot of time.
Well, where did you get the inspiration to kind of start doing? I mean, when I was first talking to you, you were in Bali. You live in Bali, right?
Yes, I'm there most of the time. Yeah.
Yes, no big deal. Probably one of the most beautiful places in the world. And now you're just hanging out in Australia on an island, and it sounds like a dream to most of us. So how did you get to that place where that made it on your own little Fyckit list?
Well, I guess the quick version is when I'm 37 now. When I was 21, I had leukemia.
Wow.
And that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It was I was really fortunate to have kind of a mentor at the time that helped me see it as one of the, a changing point in my life. And you see that your life is temporary, and that you're not going to be around forever. And what do you want to do with your life? Like, what do you want to do with your days, and what do you want to do with your overall life? What's the purpose? So there's that. Then a few years ago, I started running free yoga surf retreats for young adult cancer survivors as a way to give back to them and help them, because for a lot of young adults who go through cancer, there's not a lot of support, like really emotional, spiritual, peer-based support. And so it's easy to go through something like cancer and you come out the other side really fearful, whereas I went through something like cancer and I came out to the other side fearless and really inspired and focused. But it wasn't until I started running the retreats for young adult cancer survivors that I started kind of, giving away the knowledge that I'd gained and kind of sharing through the experiences that I'd had, and also, come through the other side healthy and alive and inspired to live. So I wanted to share that experience with other young adult cancer survivors, so they unwrapped the presents that were given to them through cancer. So those were two key things. And then I started running yoga surf retreats in Bali, the Surf Life retreats, which were about that, kind of looking at your purpose. At that point, we were kind of primarily looking at what's your life purpose, what do you want to do with your life. And then I had two guests come, Bella and Daniel, and at the end of their retreat, they said, "Do you want to hear our list?" I said, "What list?" They said, "This is 30 things we want to do before we're 30." They were each about 25.
Wow.
And they were the most inspiring young adventure couple. Like, they'd each, Bella had skydived like almost 700 times, and Daniel skydived like 200 times. And they were just like, they had this list. She had this list of about 30 things, and she had checked off, already about 15 of these things, and they were all like full-on adventure, very bold, world traveling kind of things. And they were young, and I was so inspired by it. It felt like a piece of the puzzle kind of clicked into place when I heard that list. And I had a retreat right after it on the next week, and we started, we did the list, and I started playing with it and developing it and kind of, seeing what worked and what didn't work and how to tweak it. And it really fit in with this idea of orienting your life around what inspires you. And I had another guest recently say that you don't really know someone until you've read their Fyckit List.
So we should all be making Fyckit List ourselves. So, I mean, you talk a lot about, you went through what many would call a traumatic experience, and you say it's one of the best experiences of your life because it really taught you how to live. Now, what do you I think that you may agree that a lot of us live our lives in fear and based on what we think is going to go wrong based on the things that could go right. And so do you think that the Fyckit List is kind of a way to help us prepare and set ourselves so we actually start living a life of you start talking about purpose and maybe help find our purpose, if you will?
Yes, well, so let me share one other thing. So the Fyckit List has a partner.
Okay, that's good.
So the Fyckit List is absolutely key, and another part of it is absolutely key, which is the Fyckit List.
Okay.
So these are things that would have been on your Fyckit List had you had a Fyckit List over the last 5 years. And other just cool things that have happened, and things that have fallen into place, things that you've accomplished. So maybe things that wouldn't have necessarily been on the Fyckit List, but looking back, you're like, that was a really cool coincidence, or this was a really cool thing that fell into my lap. Mm-hmm. And so you make a list You make a list of all the amazing things that have happened in your life over the last 5 years. And what this does is, when you make that list and you look at your life and what you've accomplished in the last 5 years and all the blessings that you have and all the good things that have happened, you look at it and you go, this is not random. Like, these are things that are important to me. And basically it brings you back into that place where, you step into your shoes and you say, I have a huge say in how my life goes. Like, I was a participant in bringing about each one of these things into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives you that conviction of, wow, I really do have a huge say in how my life goes. I really do create my own life experience. Because without that, sometimes if you do the Fyckit List, or, people have resignation when sometimes I hand them, the Fyckit List template, someone I meet or a friend or something, I hand it to them, I say, do this list, it'll change your life. And they'll, some people are kind of resigned. They're not, I guess there's maybe so many things that they've wanted in their life that they haven't been able to achieve or even, come close. And we all know what that's like, to have certain areas of our life that we feel like we're pretty far behind from where we really would like to be.
Right.
But when you do the Fyckit List, then you look at it and you go, I'm a powerful motherfucker. Like, I've done amazing things. I'm so blessed. I have done, achieved things in love and work and giving and, whatever it is, education. So the combination of these two lists, they really kind of feed each other. And certain
mm-hmm.
times, the Fyckit List might be the most inspiring thing for you to read. And then at other times when you're not feeling so empowered, the Fyckit List is actually the most inspiring thing for you to read. You can read it and just say, wow, I'm blessed.
It's so funny you say that because, I think even... I remember it happened to me a couple times this year where I was going through one of those patches where you're like, nothing's happening for me. Life is the worst. And I was saying to myself, I haven't done anything this year. What am I doing with my life? And I'm 25, so I'm kind of like, I'm having a quarter life crisis. And I look back and had some of my friends kind of slap me silly and wake me up with reality, saying, look at what you just did. You've been so courageous in the past year. You've really transformed yourself, and you are, steps and steps closer to where you want to be in your life. So I think that concept that you're saying in tandem with the Fyckit List, your Fyckit List, is absolutely perfect. Now, I've been reading a lot about, and I'm taking, I talked about, right now we're talking to Rick Cowley. He is the founder of Surf Life Yoga and Surf Retreats, and you can, go check out his website, isurflife.com. And, talking about your life's purpose. And it sounds like a huge concept that, maybe none of us have really thought about. Maybe we have. When we find our life purpose, do you find it more that it's something that we're giving, or that it's something that we see missing? For me, I've been doing some research on it, and it's one of those things that we see that's missing from the world that we want to bring to ourselves and then give back to others. Yeah,
let me think about that for a second. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it as something that's missing, but
mm-hmm.
I guess, it is something that you fulfill, that is fulfilled through you. So,
right.
I guess it does fit in with that concept. But,
does it have to be something that, in your opinion, does it have to be something that is so, I'm just trying to think of the word. Is it something that, it's so, it's not something that, for me, it's not something that's so Mother Teresa. People talk about life purposes and that I'll never have a life purpose. It's so fulfilling.
I think that it can be anything, and it's going to be on one hand, it's going to be important, like Mother Teresa, because you're letting something come through your lives into the world that's going to enrich other people's lives and help other people. So it is this concept of giving something into the world, because that's the most fulfilling thing is giving. And for life purpose, the two things that excite me is that it's not it changes your life in two ways. So in one way, it changes the overall trajectory of your life when you're really clear and peaceful with your life purpose and the drive of what inspires you in your life and what you want to do. So it changes the overall trajectory of your life, and then it changes actually how you engage in the present moment. Because, sometimes you'll be sitting there, maybe you're sitting with people or you're by yourself, and you might not be feeling so alive. And you can ask yourself, what's my purpose? And then you would say, well, if I was being my purpose right now, how would I engage with the world? And almost immediately when I do that, I see some little path of action, something to do, someone to talk to, a certain question to ask. That's right there, an expression of my purpose. So it's it just makes the present moment more magical and more fulfilling when you're clear on your purpose as well.
That makes a lot of sense. So what are some of the things that you have on your Fyckit list right now? You said you're 37, you have a family, and so right now in your life, I know when we were talking that New York is something that you would want to visit, but it's not necessarily on your Fyckit list right now. So what are some of those things that are on it?
A few of the things that are on it are to write and publish a workbook that's a compilation of the writing exercises that we do on the retreats. It's to get tattoos that my kids draw, which I did one. My 8-year-old daughter, Jaya, drew a tattoo and got that one on me, but I'll wait till my 3-year-old son gets a little bit better with the pen before I get it permanently on me.
Yeah, that makes
another
sense.
One is surf in Tahiti. Another one is zero debt.
That's a good list to have.
Snowboard a blue run with my kids. Have 1 million Facebook fans. To see the retreats evolve into, and I have just question marks after it. So, one of my visions is that the retreats actually become obsolete within the next 3 years. So they grow, and there's a different way to sort of communicate my message that's going to impact more people than retreats allows me to.
Right. I like that. So when we're thinking about, we're talking about like the next 5 years, and I start to make my Fyckit list, and one of the things on mine is to skydive. And you were talking about the people who inspired you behind the whole Fyckit list was a couple who was one of the girls skydived over 700 times, which is crazy to me. I think I could stick with once, at least once. But for somebody in their mid-20s, what is some of the things that we should kind of like be looking out for and how to make one, especially when we're kind of living in this life of fear where it's like, I'm never going to amount to anything?
It's really simple. So it's just what inspires you, and allowing yourself to feel what inspires you as your mind kind of wanders down the different paths in your life, so the different areas of your life. So, it's like health, relationships, money, family, work, giving, contribution. So as you kind of, look at those different areas of your life, what are the things that inspire you about it? What are the experiences that you want to have? And at first, it's okay to be really general, like say, I want to be happy. If you can't think of anything really specific in the moment. So you just put that general thing, I want to be happy, or I want to be really healthy. And then over time, as you read your list, and as you go about living your life, having the list kind of in the background, a specific measurement of it will come up, which is really empowering. Like, you want to think of a really tangible experience, like, if you want to, for example, one of mine is to surf in Tahiti, and I have a really clear picture of me getting barreled inside a wave in Tahiti and looking at the mountains in the background, and it's in tropical clear water, and it's kind of intense and scary and exciting. It's a really clear, kind of physical experience that I can imagine having, and I believe that also draws the experience into your life more quickly. So allow yourself to just dream, be really general and gentle with yourself as you dream, follow your inspiration, and then let really specific experiences come into your mind. The feeling of your feet walking on the wet sand, or buying a plane ticket or something like that. So you can actually tick it off when it happens. It's not like, have I done it or haven't I done it? Am I healthy or am I not healthy? But if you say I want to run a marathon, it's really easy to check it off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to be healthy. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can check off I ran 26.2 miles. You can't necessarily check off I ran a lot. Because a lot to me and a lot to you could be completely different things. So, I mean, those people that you were talking about who inspired the whole concept of the Fyckit List, they had really great examples, and like what you were talking about, something tangible. What are some of, on your Facebook page, and you can let the listeners know exactly where to find you, there's a special group where people post up their lists, and they can kind of join this community that you have to inspire each other with the list. What are some of your favorite examples of people's goals from the list that you've seen?
That really puts me on the spot.
I know. I'm sorry. It's like brain working. It's 1:45 in the morning for you in Australia.
Honestly, I can't really think of specifics right now. I can hardly remember what the specifics of my list are right now. But there's been a lot.
Besides
the ones that are most inspiring are the ones that are sort of, with helping other people, whether it's, to get a certain job or a certain training, or contribute a certain amount of money, that kind of thing. There are a lot of travel ones. I think people get inspired about travel and the places they want to visit, and there's something that's really eye-opening and heart-opening about visiting other cultures or other places. And it's about fulfilling dreams. So somehow we've found out about a certain destination, and we're inspired by it. We feel like it's a beautiful place, and there may be beautiful people there, and who knows what other adventures are going to happen along the way. And it takes a bit of planning and a bit of visualizing and imagining, and then it takes commitment. Like you have to buy your plane ticket, and to make it happen. So it's kind of a good representation of what it takes to fulfill a dream.
And that in itself is really inspiring, to kind of like take the steps and make this list for yourself, to especially because it's not something necessarily to do before you die, which is a little bit different than the bucket list. And before you kick the bucket, it's something that, hey, in the next 5 years, this is where I see myself, or I would like to see myself going towards. And a lot of people. There's many of us who are planners, and I know it's a big woman trait to be planners, to have to-do list for the day. Why not make something a little bit more on the grand scale of things, and start thinking about the future and thinking about the big overall goals. Maybe you're at a job that you want to make $20,000 more at some point in your life, in the next 5 years even, and then if you write that number down, or a specific number, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 10, whatever it is for you, you can then in turn, like you were saying, taking the steps, whether it's you want to go to Italy or you want to go to Paris or Bali, and you actually have to start saving money to buy that ticket, because
yeah. Well, one of the most fun things about doing this list in my life and in other people's lives is hearing how they've written something down, and they've allowed themselves to get a bit more clear on either the specific number or the specific time frame or the specific number of people that are involved, and then it's like the next day some little doorway opens up that wasn't open before, that you meet someone that can introduce you to the right person, or you might even, what's happened to me is I've even met someone that's helped me step forward with 4 of the things on my bucket list from this one person.
Wow.
So once it's written down, it's like your eyes are open, and when you see an opportunity to move forward towards this thing, you just take it. You don't hesitate. You say, oh, it's on my list. I would be silly to not take this step forward, even if it means, outlaying a bit of money or putting forth a bit of commitment that in the past would have scared you, or you might have come up with excuses that, I can't afford to do it right now, or it's not the right time or I'm not ready. Once it's on your list and the opportunity crosses your path, it's a lot easier to just say, oh, yeah, it's on my list. This is what I've been asking for, so I'm just going to take this step, and we'll see what happens next. So
I love that. I love that so much. Rick, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And good night to you, because it's very early over there in Australia. I really appreciate you calling. And when we take a break, give us a call, 888-81-COSMO, 888-812-6766, or you can tweet us at Cosmo Radio and let us know some of the things that you would put on your Fyckit list, because I think it's a new concept to put things that you would do in your next 5 to 10 years rather than when you necessarily kick the bucket. So when we get back, we have an interview from producer Megan. She was interviewing Jennifer Chung. She's an emerging designer, and that'll be coming up, and we'll close out the day. All right, so don't go anywhere.
Live from the Cosmopolitan offices, this is Inside Cosmo. It's your favorite magazine brought to life. Inside Cosmo.